The hyenas thought he was dead or hiding in shame. Wrong. He wasn't dead. Look closely. Not one, but two. Two exiled kings have shaken hands. Today, they return not to negotiate territory. They return to carry out the purge. Sweet revenge. The moment the Lion King returns to reclaim his throne. During his exile, the dethroned king lived in the shadows, carrying a scar of humiliation that hurt more than any physical wound. He fled from the laughter of his enemies, but could not escape the truth. A lone male lion can be devoured by the mob. This was the cruelest lesson the throne had taught him. But exile led him to another barren territory, where he encountered another king, also burdened with the weight of failure and loneliness. One who had been defeated in a brutal territorial struggle years ago. One who had once ruled, and one who had also been betrayed by isolation. By the laws of nature, two estranged males would tear each other apart. But this time, a silent signal was sent. No growls. Only the gazes of those who had lost everything. Two lonely men now became a coalition. The most fearsome military alliance of the savannah. This alliance was not built on brotherhood or affection. It was built on shared humiliation and a single self-interest: revenge. Both had tasted defeat, both understood the power of the hyena's numbers, and most importantly, both yearned to reclaim their lost dignity. They walked side by side. Without looking at each other, without speaking. Their silence carried the weight of the loser and the one who had waited. Their manes, their broad shoulders, carried a resonant power. They were not just two individuals, but two pronouncements sent to the gang that had committed the crime. Just months ago, One of them had tucked its tail and fled from the frenzied mob. Now, he held his head high. They had returned, bringing with them unbreakable power and a cruel truth. The solitude was over. The two kings were a balanced force, a declaration that the era of humiliation was over. The hyenas thought they had won. After driving out the king, a euphoric frenzy swept over the gang. They began establishing a new order, reveling in the abundance of the new territory that the lion had once monopolized. Dead prey lay scattered. The pack's laughter echoed, arrogant, the sound of newly established power. The hyena queen stood atop a high mound, her eyes darting around, bearing the excessive confidence of one who had just overthrown an empire. But in the world of gangs, the most deadly mistake is confusing victory with a moment of emptiness. They've seized the land, but they haven't eradicated the root of the feud. They haven't finished the job. The hyenas made a fundamental error. Complacency replaced vigilance. They believed the fear they sowed was permanent. They forgot that the existence of the humiliated king remained a growing threat. Revenge in the natural world is an unwritten, uncompromising law. It's not an emotion, but a calculation. Loss must be offset by an equal price. When the humiliated one returns, the target is no longer territory or food. The target has shifted to a personal, cold, and brutal reckoning. The target is the head of the leader, the one who ordered the hunt and laughed the loudest in the moment he fell. Today, two exiled kings return to reclaim not only their crowns, but also respect. They come to prove that even the power of the masses must yield to wounded pride and a purposeful alliance. This return wasn't a blind assault or a hasty act of revenge. The two lions had learned a costly lesson about disorganization. Now, they employed a new, cold, and precise tactic. They decapitated the snake. They didn't charge into the crowd. Instead, the two lions split their formation into a V-shaped arrow, moving silently through the tall grass. Their scent, the scent of old enemies now carrying new confidence, spread on the wind, an unmistakable declaration of war. The hyenas were laughing, but their laughter suddenly stopped. Hyenas have incredibly keen senses, and suddenly they sensed a terrifying silence. The danger lay not in speed, but in precise calculation. The hyena queen was the first to realize the fatal mistake. The enemy hadn't come to fight the entire pack. The enemy had come for itself. That realization was a moment of chaos. But it was too late. The two lions, working in perfect harmony and without hesitation, cornered them. The hyenas panicked. But the two lions paid no heed to the insignificant creatures. Their eyes were fixed on a single target, the alpha female hyena. The one who had ordered them to be attacked the day before. This was the perfect psychological blow to break down the command system. The one cornered was not the exiled king, but the powerful queen, trembling with fear. The balance had shifted. The distance was only a few meters. They hadn't given the hyena pack a chance to use their numerical superiority. They had fought with intelligence and coordination. Revenge wasn't just about brute strength. It was punishment for the complacency of those who had won too soon. There was no time for calculation. The reckoning had come. The two kings faced their target. The distance was 0. The lion's fangs opened, carrying the death sentence for the traitor. The queen growled in despair, but her roar was instantly swallowed up. And then, the battle for revenge erupted. A roar shook the earth, followed by the dry crack of breaking bones. The hyena's arrogant laughter was silenced forever. The hyena queen fell. In a brutal moment, the humiliated king had achieved his revenge. The queen's death was the final, most forceful declaration of the re-establishment of power. The remaining hyenas scattered in all directions. Their loud laughter had turned into screams of terror. Why were they outnumbered, yet defeated? The answer lies in behavioral science, the collapse of social structure. Hyenas have an extremely rigid matriarchal system. They only obey the queen. When their leader is eliminated, the gang loses its command center. They become a collection of weak, panicked individuals. The two kings didn't defeat the entire pride. They simply switched off the control. Power was re-established through violence. The king had returned, and this time, his throne was washed with the blood of the leader. Never corner a king unless you're certain he can't return. The two kings confronted their objective. They were no longer humiliated exiles, but ruthless debt collectors. They had triumphed. They had reclaimed their territory, and more importantly, they had avenged their humiliation. The two kings returned side by side, bearing the authority re-established by blood. the chaos had passed. The territory had been bathed in blood and recaptured. The two kings, side by side, were no longer desperate warriors, but architects of a new order. Their first task was to re-establish a lion clan. The lionesses, who had lived under the lax and indecisive protection of their previously humiliated king, were now gradually returning. They recognized a newfound strength, a newfound stability. This acceptance was not merely a survival instinct, it was a respect for the victorious power. The two kings performed the rituals of rulership, marking their territory with a resounding roar, louder and more synchronized than any solitary roar before. It was a declaration to all other lone kings lurking outside. This alliance was unassailable. But in their new life, harmony was a fragile illusion. Though they shared power and the duty of protection, the ultimate instinct of the male lion remained absolute. When patrolling, they maintained a delicate distance. When hunting, both displayed uncompromising authority. One's roar was met by the others, not out of agreement, but as a reminder of the balance of power. The war against the hyenas was over, but now the most intense battle was taking place within their ranks. The responsibility of protecting the pride, the burden of maintaining the respect of the lionesses, and the potential competition for the next generation of cubs all became smoldering fires. The two kings had learned that solitude is deadly, but sharing the throne is also a double-edged sword. They were building an empire together, but they had to be constantly vigilant. The ultimate revenge might not come from an old enemy, but from the very brother standing beside them. From the distant grasslands, other eyes were watching. Younger, stronger male lions, who had never tasted defeat, were learning to read the tracks of the two kings. Each roar was not only an assertion of sovereignty, but also an invitation to future challengers. In nature, there is no permanent throne. Only fleeting periods when the strongest hold it. The two kings understood this well. They were more vigilant. It's not because the hyenas will return, but because history always repeats itself in a different form. Today they are allies. Tomorrow, they could become each other's greatest test. The lionesses give birth. A new generation grows up in the newly established order. And with them, new seeds of competition begin to sprout, silently and unstoppably. Revenge has closed one chapter. But survival is never ending. On this savannah, each victory is merely the prelude to the next confrontation. And the ultimate question still hangs in the scorching African air. Who will be the next to stand on the blood-soaked throne? Subscribe and hit the bell to not miss the next wildlife survival series.